A shark never stops moving, not because it is restless, because the moment it stops, it sinks. There is something in that image worth sitting with. The creature most feared for its power is also the one most dependent on forward motion. What happens then when a shark is wounded mid-ocean? It cannot rest. It cannot wait for calmer waters. It must keep moving. And somehow, that very motion becomes the thing that heals it. In the Bhagavad Gita, the 2nd chapter, Krishna speaks to a broken Arjuna on a battlefield. Arjuna has dropped his bow. His hands tremble. He says, "I cannot fight. I cannot go forward." And Krishna does not say, "Your pain is not real." He says something far more difficult. He says, "The soul is not wounded by what wounds the body. Rise. Your nature is not defeat." This is not a call to ignore suffering. It is a call to understand what you actually are beneath the suffering. Arjuna was not a weak man. He was considered the greatest archer of his age. He had trained his whole life for this moment. And yet, standing at the threshold of the most important battle of his life, he collapsed, not from lack of skill, but from the weight of loss. He could see what this battle would cost him: friends, teachers, family, the future he had imagined. Krishna's response across 18 chapters is essentially this: the wound you are looking at is real. But you are not only the wound, there is an old Buddhist teaching that mirrors this. A teacher asks a student, "If you put a spoonful of salt in a cup of water, what happens?" The student says, "It becomes bitter." The teacher says, "Now put that same spoonful in a lake." The salt does not disappear, but the lake is vast enough to hold it without becoming bitter. The question Krishna and the Buddha are both asking is the same. How large is the container you are living inside? The first lesson is this: pain does not diminish you unless you let it define the boundary of who you are. A wound on the surface of a vast ocean does not poison the whole sea. But if you shrink yourself down to the size of the wound, it fills everything. The Stoics call this the discipline of ascent, the practice of choosing what meaning you attach to what happens to you. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Not because reality is gentle, but because the mind, left unguided, builds walls out of wounds. The second lesson is about motion. The shark does not heal by stopping. It heals by continuing. There is a kind of courage that looks like ordinary life, waking up, showing up, moving forward, when everything inside you wants to go still. The Gita calls this karma, yoga, action without attachment to outcome. You do not move forward because you are certain it will work. You move forward because movement itself is the practice of faith. The third lesson is the hardest. The wave that comes back stronger is not the same wave that was broken. Something was lost, and that loss is real. Ancient wisdom does not ask you to pretend otherwise. What it asks is whether you are willing to become the new shape the water takes after the breaking. Here is one practice to carry into your day. When something wounds you, a failure, a loss, a door that closes, Before you reach for distraction or explanation, pause. Ask yourself one question. Am I holding this in a cup or in a lake? Not as a way to minimize what happened, but as a genuine inquiry into how much of yourself you are bringing to this moment. If the answer is a cup, that is honest. That is where you are. And the practice is simply to breathe and remember that you are larger than this moment. Not better, not beyond it. Larger. Do this once a day, not when things are easy, when things are hard. That is when the practice matters. The shark keeps moving. Not because it has forgotten the wound, but because the ocean is its nature. And the ocean does not stop for pain. You have been broken before, and you are here. That is not a small thing. Every ancient tradition, the Gita, the Dharma, the Stoic path, agrees on this one point. The human spirit is not fragile. It is, at its core, like water. It takes the shape of whatever contains it. And when the container breaks, it does not disappear. It spreads. Your wound is not your limit. It may yet become your wave. Subscribe to LifeVeda for daily wisdom that transforms your life.